Damn, 2 videos in 1 month. All right, so let's talk about Mac McClung.
Catch it first. Oh my gosh. Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Mac.
So if you happen to catch the dunk contest on Saturday, you should be well aware of Mac McClung. And you could argue that he's the best dunker since Vince Carter. Maybe you can make a case for someone else, but he's definitely up there. Nonetheless, today we're diving into how Mac McClung, aka the 3-time consecutive dunk champ, got his vertical jump. Now, I need you to pay very close to his earlier years because he got a little bit of an advantage that 99% of you will not get. And it's very important that you pay attention to his youth and his earlier years. All right, so let's get into it. Mac McClung, he's 6'2". He tested at the combine a 43.5 vertical jump. Nowadays, if you ask me, I'd say he's a lot closer to the mid 40s to the upper 40s, like somewhere between 45 to like 48, honestly. In a podcast with PJF referenced him being in that same range, that 45, 46, 47 inch vertical range. So he's definitely up there in vertical. He tested a 43.5 like I said, but for sure since then he's got a couple inches on his vertical jump. So Mac's vertical jump has been well documented on the internet. I'm not gonna sit here and just go over his workouts, his specific workouts. I just wanna hone in on this one specific podcast he did with PJF, and we're gonna dive into the certain things that he did, dissect it a little bit, just to give you a little bit of clarity on what exactly is happening here.
Were your parents athletic? Like, do you feel like you have genetic advantages, or is it 100% like what I did early on?
The thing is, my dad said he was athletic. He played Division I football at Virginia Tech, so, he had to be an athlete, and, he was a great leaper. But my mom, she's coordinated. She was a dancer, and, I think that helped a lot. But
So the first thing that you have to note, Mac McClung, his first major advantage that you guys have no choice in deciding is his parents. His dad was a D1 football player with a great vertical jump, and his mom was a dancer. Now, dancers are pretty athletic. Like, dancers, I got a lisp now. Dancers, cheerleaders, like, if you have a wife or a woman, or in this case, just his mom, that is doing something along that nature, gymnastics, cheer, dance, like, you're prone to pick up some athletic ability from your mom's side. Now, his dad is a D1 football player. So as you can see, like I said, before he even came out the womb, he has an advantage that 99% of you just will not have, which is his parents, because you can't pick your parent. Now, right after that, his dad, being a D1 football athlete, put Mac up to plyometrics and jumping very young. He was training him since he was around 7 and 8 years old.
Because I know the question for a lot of people is like, well, how did you get so athletic? How did you get so explosive?
that was my dad, and I'm so thankful. He wasn't like, hey, you're going to lift a bunch of weights, you're getting strong. Like, he was like immediately, I think I was like 7 or 8. My sister was an athlete, and she was doing these plyometrics, and, obviously wanted to join. I was like, man, if she's doing it, I'm going to do it. And it was like 7, 8 years old. I started doing like the dots, and I started doing the ladder, and I fell in love with it. And
Now, those youth years are like a huge turning point in athleticism, because the advantage that you gain in those years is just it's just substantially more than you could get at any other point in your life. Like, those years you cannot replicate later on when you're in your 20s or in your teens. Everyone knows that when you're a kid, it's a lot easier to pick things up, whether you're swimming or you are learning a language. Like, when you're a kid, you're a sponge. Now, when it comes to athleticism, the years in your youth, you can't make that up. For example, if I learn a language when I'm 5, I learn it a lot quicker than when I'm 25. But when I'm 25, I could still learn pretty much to the same extent, like, that language. I could be pretty equivalent to when I learned it at 5 years old. It would just take me longer. But vertical jump is completely different. Athleticism is completely different. What I pick up in priming my nervous system at age 5, I can't make that up at age 25. It's just not gonna happen. Like, your athleticism is heavily dictated by your environment, what you grow up doing. So you could think of this period as sort of you setting your potential, your max cap for your vertical jump. So kids that dunk on mini hoops are sprinting all the time, doing max effort jumps, just messing around as kids, they start to develop their connection with their nervous system, connective tissues. It gives them a huge advantage. For example, Russell Westbrook grew up running hills just for fun. He admits this in a documentary he had with Kevin Durant. He was running hills just for fun, and he attributes a lot of his athleticism to him running those hills. I'm sure it's where he picked up or developed that connection with his nervous system, picking up speed and ultimately his vertical jump. So the other thing is that his dad did not allow him to lift until he hit puberty.
And my dad wouldn't let me lift until, like, you know, I'd hit puberty. I had armpit hair and everything. So,
Yeah.
you know, you want to look cool for the girls, like you were saying. But I knew, you know, this was going to be the best for my, you know, my growth and my career.
This does a couple things that may seem like it's slowing down his progress, but it's really not. Now, whether you're gonna argue if it stunts growth or whatever the case is, that's kind of besides the point. But him not lifting weights right away does a couple things for him that are like great and actually take his vertical jump a lot further than if he were to lift weights and get strong very young. The first thing is that he has to spend more time with his own body weight, jumping max effort jumps and mastering his jump technique. Now, a lot of kids want to get into lifting weights because they know getting stronger is going to help you increase your vertical jump. 100% true. There's other motivators when you're young, like girls, like you might have a crush on your old girl in homeroom and you're trying to get some muscle. You know, I know how it goes. But at the end of the day, you gotta be patient and take your time, because not lifting right away does a couple of things for you. Number one, it allows you to master your jump technique. Now, if there's anything that you take away from this video, it's that mastering your jump technique is the fastest way to increase your vertical jump. The second thing that it does for you is it allows you to spend more time with your body weight doing max effort jumps, because you only have so many things you can do. And if there's another thing that you take away from this video, it's that max effort jumps is the best way to increase your vertical jump. So you got the fastest way and you got the best way, and you can do that with no equipment, with no weights. And he spent a lot of time doing that until his dad eventually allowed him to lift weights. So he spent the majority of his youth playing around with a lot of plyometrics. Now, if you've been on my channel, if you see my videos, you know I personally believe plyometrics are overrated. It doesn't mean they don't have value. I just mean in the jump culture, the dunk culture, I believe people overly fixate on plyometrics and don't focus on getting stronger. Like, it is what it is. But plyometrics still have great value. I'm not gonna take away that plyometrics don't have great value. Like I said, plyometrics, including max effort jumps, is the best way to increase your vertical jump. If you remove max effort jumps, I believe it's slightly overrated. But the plyometrics that Mac went ahead and did is he did things like dots, agility ladders. Like, these are very short ground contact times, and realistically, it really helps you with that spring. It's very important. If you watch him dunk, he's a springy dunker. He's elastic. He's not slow and explosive. So those short ground contact times with his plyometrics really come into play. You can see it in his jump style, and he looks super mobile and nimble because of it. So overall, when it comes to Mac McClung, honestly, majority of his gains were built in his youth by his dad, to be honest with you. Like, his dad set him up perfectly. If you're looking to get into Mac McClung's programs and stuff like that, he does have a program out with PJF. I believe it's a great program. It's PJF and it's Mac McClung. How could it be a bad program? But you gotta understand, he had a great, like a significant advantage that like majority of you just cannot get. Maybe some of you have that advantage already, then you probably already have a decent vertical to begin with. But what he did with his youth is probably like 90% of his athleticism, to be honest with you. Like, it's not just the vertical jump, it's the speed, it's the agility. Like, those exercises that he did all before the age of 10, those practices that he had instilled in him all before the age of 10, from before he was born, his parents, like, these things are things that you can't replicate, you can't replace, you can't train for. He had a great base to begin with. Now, that's not to say he didn't make great progress training, because obviously, as I said, he came into the league or the combine with a 43.5 vertical jump, and he's probably in the upper to mid 40s. Now, the combine doesn't mean that was his best jump. He may have already been at the mid 40s, but just to give an example, I'm sure he's made progress training, but just take everything with a grain of salt, because he really had a strong advantage in training very young. Anyways, that's my second video of this month. Go ahead and give me a round of applause. I'm Jiggy Hills, and I'm out, bro.